Hey, Z.
Oh.
How you doing, guy?
Hey, friendo.
How are you?
I'm doing well, friend.
It's
very well. There was a little bit of jealousy watching some of the footage over the weekend on Big Fox Network.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun day, wasn't it? That was about as good as it gets, I think. I don't think I'm out of line to say that.
Be dead honest with you. Did not see the winner coming.
Yeah.
The way it panned out.
Just all those things, all those bits of goodness that you love in a tournament that kind of came together that time. Everything going okay with you up there? Is it full spring? Is everything? I think if you was living in the Klondike, but it's probably spring, right?
I must apologize. I must apologize. I'm a little under the weather with allergy season, as you know. And not only that, I'm souped up on Claritin right now. I think that's what it's called. And anything can come spilling out of my mouth today.
Yeah, you're going to forget that you're being recorded, right? And say something, I think that's terrific. I think that's one of the things to look forward to. That's a hook that the viewers should take note of, because anything can happen on this day.
Claritin and nasal crom. Nasal crom.
Nasal crom. That sounds like a visitor from another planet. That's cool. I like that. Well, I think you'll be fine. I think you're going to do great today. You'll be on fire as usual. Hey,
yes.
That music means we got to go in for real. The TnZ thing getting started right here, Z. Good to see you. Look fine. You look fine, I must say. You're a little under the weather, but we'll make it happen.
Hey, allergy season is like what I call, I've always talked about the fall spawn in the fall, where allergies is like the false flu is really what it comes down to, Tommy. It's the false flu.
It's the false flu.
Things are good. We got to tape. I got to actually tape a bunch of shows, Zona shows in New York last week. Tommy, I went to, remember the major that we covered at Lake Onondaga, that lake that smelled like sewage?
Yeah, smelled like a developing fluid for photographs, yeah.
Stunning how clean the water is now. Really? And how, the fishing was great back then. It was a massive beatdown. Lake Onondaga. Hats off to them cleaning the lake up.
Which end did you catch them on? The one with all the vegetation down there, or the other end, all the way at the other end? Or did you catch them somewhere in the middle? All over?
I would say keep your mouth off me for the rest of the show.
Right. Well, come on.
Exactly.
Now, come on.
I'm sorry, Tommy.
You're going to be that way. Okay.
Here's what was interesting. I'm not saying this jokingly. They pulled, while you guys were just starting live, Central New York, not Western, Central New York pulled about 5 inches of rain. The lake swelled about 2.5 to 3 feet. And what was interesting, to find clean, clear water that was not just orange blowing mud, was, interestingly enough, it was that north corner where we covered a bunch of anglers throughout that tournament.
Sure.
And that was literally the only clean water, and it seems like the entire population swam to that clean water. And I'm not going to say it was a easy show to shoot, but it was incredibly easy show to shoot.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got to spend some time in Skaneateles. I know you always do that when you get up in that part of the country as well, too. But that's great. But how about the superhero of all bass fishing lakes? How about Fork the Conqueror, Fork the Invincible? Was that something?
Yeah, you know what was interesting about that tournament, which is pretty much like every single tournament we ever cover on Fork, it almost gets monotonous by the end of the event, like watching every single fish catch. Here's what is beautiful about that lake, is to aimlessly scoff by Championship Sunday at 5-pounders. And it's one of those very unique lakes that it seems every time we go, the weights go up as the anglers have more time. One of those anglers that we're going to talk about today in a big way, and we knew it was going to be a matter of time, Tucker Smith from Alabama. Here's the best way to put it. Dude is the real deal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I thought for a while we were going to have, for the first time ever on the Bassmaster Elite Series, a rookie win back-to-back wins. Paul Marks, of course, had won at Hartwell the time before, and they just flipped the order, and this time Tucker Smith wins by 14 ounces, not Paul Marks. And it's just incredible how formidable these guys are, these young anglers out there.
Yes. Yes, and to really look at kind of what transpired in that tournament, all 10 anglers in the top 10 getting a century belt. And we'll talk about this today, I'm sure. There was a little bit of diversity on how fish got caught. I think it's fair to say Seth Viter won the shallow water event. Yeah. On Lake Fork. I said that to Hackney, and he got pissed off at me and said, no, he was using landscape. I was the only one fishing the proper way on shallows.
Well, we had Wesley Gore spend a good time in the shallow water. Tyler Williams catching him on a jig. I mean, it was the best of all worlds. We got some diversity. We like to see him caught in different ways, and we got to see so many big ones. Like you say, you almost became spoiled and way too accustomed to it. Numb. That's the word. Absolutely.
And we're actually near the end of this podcast. We're gonna give a hats off to Texas Parks and Wildlife. But I have at the end of this show, I have a question that I don't understand. It's actually a question that I have brought up on Bassmaster Live with you every time we go to Lake Fork, and we'll attack that today. And the next something else we're gonna attack is young Trey McKinney.
Yeah.
Young Trey McKinney. I don't know what to say about what he's doing there, and we're going to really kind of dive in, because there is somebody that I covered on the Elite Series that I think he'll relate to this. He's not on the Elite Series anymore, but we're going to compare one superstar angler that I see a lot of similarities in Trey McKinney. Might surprise you who I'm going to bring up today, Tom.
I have a couple of guesses. I won't say what they are right now.
I know you do. I know you do.
Look, this guy has been in what? He's been in 15 Elite Series events. He's in the top 12 in 10 of those already. My gosh, with a lot
say
of...
that.
I mean, say that again. I mean, how can you compare him to anyone?
Let's throw one more out there. He's won already, I think, like $450,000 at the age of 20. Dude, do you know what I would have done to myself if I won $500,000 by 20? It would have been fun.
I wish I'd have been there to help for sure. That is absolutely. But yeah, Trey McKinney does not. You're right. He does not get enough credit, and he has brought a few things on himself by just making typical rookie, missteps along the way. But I mean, that's going to fall away, and yet, the figures tell us that he may or may not ever win a Bassmaster Classic. I mean, we've seen so many.
He was pretty close.
Yeah,
he was pretty close.
Very close, and he will be very close. Well, let's take some time right now for Strike King. I know you got something special to show us today.
I have 3 special things, but before we get into the first one, hats off. Last podcast, Jack Walker getting on my social media. All you need to do is get on Mark Zona Fishing Instagram or Zona's Awesome Fishing Show Facebook, and here's the bait that I want to show, Tommy Sanders. It's like something out of the movie Prometheus. You know, where that face sucker, where it gets on your face and then it impregnates you and an alien comes out of your chest. That is what a Strike King Tumbleweed is.
Wow.
Okay? And here's the weird thing. I have spent a lot of time with Tumbleweed the last 40 days. And Tommy, it's for real. Okay.
Really?
Whether you are drop shot, yes. Now listen, I laughed at this thing. I've laughed at a bunch of stuff that Koya Fujita throws, and here's what I can tell you: whether it's a smallmouth on a drop shot, whether it's pre-spawn cruising largemouth and you're Nico rigging it, that thing right there is a home wrecker, Tommy Sanders. All you need to do to win the prize pack that Jack Walker won. Are you ready?
Okay.
Get on my social media and just type out "Pass the Tumbleweed, oh boy," OLBOY. Pass the Tumbleweed, oh boy.
Pass the Tumbleweed, oh boy. Ask you one question
Tommy,
about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Does it look like something you want to eat or something you want to kill to a bass?
that is weird you say that. David Brown is doing an article for Bassmaster magazine, called me and said, hey, I know you've thrown this and blah, 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 blah. And I said, here's what I can tell you. Looking at a tumbleweed right there, looking at that, you always hear match the hatch.
Yeah.
Tommy, I don't know what a Strike King Tumbleweed looks like, but here's what I do believe, and I put this in the article with Brown, is I said there are certain baits throughout the spectrum of bass fishing that the way they hit it, they want to kill it. It's not like they're trying to eat it; they want to kill it. And I caught a great big bag of smallmouth on it about a week and a half ago, and you could tell I was in very cold water, like 44, 45 degree water. And dude, they would knock slack in the line to hurt that thing.
Wow.
And these were big ones, man. These were the apex. But can you imagine? You know where I live in Michigan.
Yeah.
And I'm a dock banger. I'm a dock freak. Can you imagine skipping that under boat docks when they're right?
Nothing surprises me anymore. I mean, nothing surprises me anymore.
It does look, actually, it looks beautiful in the water. Okay. Beautiful. But here's the one thing, whoever wins this, I'm actually being serious. I usually, and Tommy, I notice you've been creeping around on my socials trying to DM me the right words to win stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I missed by one letter. I missed it last time.
I literally, I'm very stingy because I don't have many. I'm only sending whoever wins this. I'm sending them this one and a bunch of other stuff because I'm a little stingy with these right now. A little stingy.
Understandably. Sounds like it's been a fantastic. News, notes, and nugget. Was that the harbinger of news, notes, and nugget?
It's time.
Okay. Who are we going to talk about? I bet I can guess.
We're going to start with Tucker Smith and really what he did. But more so, it's what this sounds crazy insane. Tucker Smith seems like a veteran already. Right?
Oh, God.
And here's why I say that is from the years of high school tournaments to college tournaments, it's like Jordan Lee was the original college tournament addict that you were kind of like, all right, when do you all graduate? Maybe it's time to go, I don't know, get a life. So, right. Tucker was one of those kids in Alabama.
High school,
and I think high school into college. And I think, my opinion, I've always said this, the area of the country that Tucker Smith is from fishing areas, from the Coosa River to Lake Eufaula to Gunnersville, man, I truly believe that is the training ground for Elite Series anglers. You get to see so many looks as far as diversity in bodies of water. The other thing is about that, you learn how to really adjust to pressured lakes. I think that's got a lot to do with it. And not only that, when I say diversity, you're talking, basically dirtier water from a Eufaula to a Gunnersville, and then you can rotate to fish in a Smith Lake. You just get to see a lot of looks. He went on to win the Bass Prize. I think he won $1 million when he was 21 years old.
One-off event, yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, and not only that, and I actually texted Leslie Martins this morning, and I said, Leslie, I said I need to check my memory, but isn't Tucker Smith the young man that Aaron always talked to me about as far as what his potential is and was? He has lived up to everything that Aaron Martin said.
Absolutely. And just to watch him operate all through the tournament, but especially the last day, I mean, he goes right to the perfect spot to catch a big shad spawn fish with the shad just spewing out of this fish. And that set the tone for the day. You never see him messing around. You never find yourself talking to the screen saying, what are you doing there? Why are you moving? Why are, and all that. He's always seems to be so precise with his
surgical
movements. Yes, surgical with his movements through the day.
I totally agree with that. I really only have, and you never hear a bad word about Tucker, man. He had one boo-boo in an open, I think it was a year or two years ago. Yep. The only problem I have, Tommy, and I'm a connoisseur. a facial hair. And I shaved this morning for Tucker Smith. He's almost got like a poor man's Carl Jocumsen neck beard, Andrew Luck thing going right now. And I don't like it. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, that's you want to brand yourself? Get something awesome. Get something awesome going for you there. Yeah.
I'm a man.
There you go.
Exactly
right. There you go. Great stuff, though. And the other thing about Tucker, you just feel like he is going to be one of those rookies that fast forward 5 years from now and he's in the top 10 80% of the events. You just see he has the total package.
Absolutely. One other point I'll make about him, he caught what he caught during the course of this tournament, not with any gonzo 9 or 10 pounders, not even an 8. He did it with 5, 6, and 7s. I mean, he filled that thing right up to the ceiling. He knew how to pack it up as good as it could get with those size fish all day long, each day.
Question for you, Tommy, and as I was kind of watching, as this tournament transpired, did you not feel calling this tournament that somewhere during the day Koya Fujita was going to blow their doors out and just win?
Yes. All the way up to an hour of check-in. I thought he was going to do that because it doesn't take him
literally
long.
Did. And really, if you Tommy, if you look at a lot of the lakes that we're going to when we go up north, Tucker Smith is going to be a big time headache with that little fun box that all the kids look at, if you know what I mean.
That is right. Yeah, he is just like that top tier of about 8 guys. It doesn't matter where you go. They're going to catch him. They're going to get their share, mostly picked from the top 10% of the available weights there. Well, let's talk about the masters of the live sonar, the front-facing, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's it's being set up as a huge barrier by some people, but I think it's one that you're not going to tear down.
No, whether you love shining or you don't, and here's the thing, it is obviously two opposite sides of the spectrum when you talk about forward-facing sonar. I mean, it's got some hater. Here's the only thing I would say. This is an opinion. Look, I've said this on air, Tommy. Commentating 10 guys that are just staring at their screen, it's very hard to do.
It's challenging, yeah.
Fair?
You're right.
Very, very, very challenging to do. With that being said, like I saw when Easton won the Classic, there was a lot of hate. Man, don't hate on the players. No. They are not the one to look. I know as a fact, B.A.S.S is still looking at this right now as we sit here.
That's right.
They're looking at what is the best decision with this. Now here's one thing that when I say don't hate on the players, as much as I want to see Aaron Rodgers get his bell rung by, Ray Lewis or Brian Urlacher, it doesn't make me hate the game of football anymore. I still love the game of football, even though every single quarterback passes for 400 yards every single week. Here's what I'll say about watching the young dudes that are good at it. When you look at a Tucker Smith, when you look at Paul Marks, Koya is a great example. Dude, they're so incredibly good with it. Like, they almost make some of the older shiners in their late 20s look primitive at it.
Right.
A lot of that, I think a lot of that comes from truly high school and college fishing. This is what they did. Hey, look, if you want to get mad at anglers, I'm going to totally switch gears on this podcast, Tommy. Okay. If you want to get mad at anglers, go to .com and look at Top Lures. I went and looked at Top Lures from Lake Fork here about 45 minutes ago. Boy, there's a lot of things on there that I did not see being thrown very much throughout this tournament, and there was a lot of things not in the pictures that were being thrown in this tournament. I'm throwing a little bit of shade right there at some of the anglers. Half of them, I think, were a little elusive. Koya leading the pack of that one.
Well, and sometimes it's just blatant. You know, I'm going to pull this hood over before I take my lure out of the water, and please look away, avert your eyes for just 5 minutes there. And it kind of gets a little out of hand sometimes.
It does, and I'll tell you what, now that I'm on the sideline watching, you know, when I watch you guys calling these tournaments, here's the first two signs of an angler is being elusive. You ready? The first one, as you say, back to the camera while he's holding an 8-pounder. Number two, now watch this move, when he unhooks a fish, palms his lure and throws his lure over the side into the water.
Straight into the water. Straight into the water. Like you saw one near. It's like you saw one near the boat, you know, or something like that.
I'm not gonna lie. When I looked at top lures for this tournament, it was eerily similar to Hartwell. I'm like, what is this crap that's going on right now?
So what's the solution to that? That's the hard question there.
It'll never leave. And you knew, Tommy, I was a enforcer of the truth.
Absolutely.
And if it did not coincide with said, you know, angler sponsor, then be as generic as possible. Just don't lie. Don't lie. I guess the amount of respect I had in the top lures was Tucker Smith holding just a jig head. Did not show what was on the jig head. Let me ask you, what is the solution?
I don't know. I think for the anglers to trust that you, a Davey Hyde, are not going to do something to harm you. They don't mean you to do harm. They will work with you every way possible just to keep from giving false information out there. Is that not right? Yeah.
Very fair. And there's been this season, listen, man, there's been a lot of false information and that's bad. That's a really slippery slope to walk down, because what it does, it takes away from the credibility of who you are and what you've accomplished. Because look, our viewers on Bassmaster Live or the viewers that watch any tournament fishing, they're pretty sharp on what they're looking at the end of a rod. So when they see or hear you lying, instantly you go, whoa. That's not exactly what I was seeing throughout the tournament. You hope that turns around, because that's a raw. And Tommy, a lot of the young guys, and you knew this, one of the ones that always will stand out is Justin Hamner. After the first day of the Classic, we had a pretty good vibe. He was either going to win the tournament or he was going to fare pretty well.
Yeah.
And I said, dude, I know what you're throwing. The world knows what you're throwing. It's T-boned in a fish's mouth.
Yeah.
How do we handle this? And he kind of sunk his head down and he said, don't lie. And I had a lot of respect for that, because it did not coincide with his sponsor alignment. So,
right.
But it also helps when you win a Classic.
Yeah, that makes you look like a good guy, too. I think we all as humans have one fault. We tend to project what's going to happen to us if we don't follow some preordinated plan of mentioning product and not mentioning product. And I think people just expand that way out of proportion. The main thing, like you say, tell the truth. Don't lie.
Tell the truth, or don't say anything. Just don't hold up BS.
Yeah.
Don't hold up something that's just total BS. Like I said, if you fish a Tuesday or Wednesday night circuit, you know exactly what you looked at Lake Fork, because we saw it in about half of the top 10's boat.
There you go.
Yes.
Perfect.
In fact, I bought a bunch of them.
Yeah. Well, let's go to First Flight now. Who you got in your First Flight? Your esteemed characters for this week, number 5 on the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Tommy, I'll be honest with you. Looking at First Flight, we have a little bit more movement in here. Number 4, we're going to go with. I'm gonna hang with them for another week.
Okay.
Obviously, still solid. Patrick Walters, and you just feel like young Patty Walters is stable. He's consistent right now. I think Sabine will be. I think Sabine will be an X factor for the entire field, except for about 3 or 4 anglers.
Yeah.
Patrick Walters, obviously still in the mix, 12th in Angler of the Year points, which for him is a little bit down the list. So I'm going to go 4, Patrick Walters. 3, and there's an anchor going on in this situation. 3, Carissa Johnston.
Yeah.
Corey and Chris Johnston.
Yeah.
Okay. And here's what the anchor is. And I know Corey's going to get pissed at me for saying this. Chris is 4th in Angler of the Year, and Corey is 18th. Now, 18th to the majority of the Bassmaster Elite Series field, you're doing pretty good. No, not to be in first flight, Tommy. Not to be in first flight.
No. Okay.
Number 2, and this is where we've seen the movement this week. Young Trey McKinney. I have to give it up to him. 3rd place right now in Angler of the Year points. It almost seems like he's in contention every single week since the first week of the season on the St. John's, and starting to see a full game. The way that dude fishes, from bait selection, and we're gonna tackle that here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Number 2, quickly moving up first flight, Trey McKinney. Number 1, since before Hartwell, I'm going with Jay Shakurat. I know you started the season with him.
Yeah.
He was not even in my first flight. Jay Shakurat solidly right now. Solidly. And I heard you talk about this on Bassmaster Live. I heard you talk about, hey, we're going to St. Clair where he won an Open. Oh, by the way, we're also going to the Mississippi River. Jay Shakurat gets through the next 2 tournaments. He's on easy street, man.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to fail. He is not going to throw a big number up there. That is for sure. I agree with all those in the top 4 right there. As a matter of fact, I got one. I just got one to add, and it's someone who's been in who's been in the first flight before, and it's Easton Fothergill. Again, you have to repeat, his arc through the season. He started out with 101st down at the St. Johns River and followed it up with a big 93rd at Lake Okeechobee, putting him dead last, not near the bottom, dead last in the standings right there. And then he went to work. He won the Classic, of course. That's huge. That's going to be huge for anybody. 4th place in North Carolina, 7th place at Hartwell, and then an 8th place here in Texas. So he has gone from 103rd all the way up to 35th. I mean, he's qualified. He's qualified for the Classic, which he didn't need to do anyway. He's already qualified. If you keep going at that rate, you may be considered a possibility to contend at the end of the year if some weird things happen to the guys at the top.
What would be the astronomical odds to literally almost be in he was down at last place after the first 2 events. And again, for if you did not hear this story, he made the comment at the Classic. The word he used, I was pissed at myself because I think I was honestly starstruck coming to the Elite Series tournament. That is first flight. Tommy, we're going to transition to last flight, and we always give congratulations in last flight. Last flight, here's what it is. Anglers down near the bottom of the standings that just don't belong there. Like there's several times you see anglers that you see their name there quite a bit. One of them that has left last flight with a great finish at Lake Fork, looking for another great finish from him at the Sabine River. Hackney is gone. Hackney is no longer in last flight.
There you go.
4th, we have a tie this week. Chris, the Zaldangerous one. The Zaldangerous one sitting in 93rd in points, tied with Hank Cherry, who's in 91st place. A combination of Chris Zaldane and Hank Cherry. That's an odd angler.
Yeah.
That's an odd angler, right?
We don't have a picture. We don't have a mock-up of that. Okay.
It was more of a split screen, but you wonder when you look at Zaldane, has he put such an amount of pressure on himself back in the Classic on Ray Roberts, and then would obviously a lot of pressure on Fork. Who knows? Maybe the Sabine River will be the one from there, from Zaldane and Hank Cherry. Very consistent across the board. Gussie, 97th in points. And you have to look at, is the Sabine River, would any of our viewers on the TnZ podcast say that the Sabine River would be Gussie's wheelhouse? I say not really. Not really. That one's starting to get a little shaky for the Classic qualification. On Fort Loudon for next year. I hate to say it, Gussie may be coaching us up on the set of Bassmaster Live. Two. Maddie Robertson. Maddie Robertson consistently in last flight and has said to Mercer repeatedly, he's gonna right the ship. Matt Robertson, like everybody on the list of last flight, just does not belong there. And the other thing you see his roommates, Corey and Chris and Seth, mauling them this year. Almost seems like, I don't know, does it put even more pressure on little Maddie Robertson? Number one does not belong here. Don't want to see him here. We're going with Steve Kennedy, Tommy. We're going with Steve Kennedy.
Yeah.
Like the weird part about Steve Kennedy, in some of the events that we've had this year, it does seem like it sets up in his wheelhouse. It does seem like some tournaments that you would see a Steve Kennedy. Yeah, I thought of Steve Kennedy every single time you guys went to Seth Fighter, basically swimming a white jig around flooded bank grass on Fork. I was like, this is a Steve tournament. We haven't seen him. That's my last flight. It's depressing. Last flight is depressing, Tommy.
It always is. And Kennedy, beyond that, we hate to have him there because he provides us so much entertainment. We need to We need him to ignite down on the Sabine River. He's done it before. He's shown us. He found some weird-looking place one year. It looked like an annex to a boat dock out back, and just loaded up on him a couple of days, and it finally ran out of fish. But that's what he does. He gives us great entertainment, and he's not like anyone else. He's totally unique.
Yes.
He's a singularity for sure. So we miss that. Okay, I got one guy, and this guy, he's your guy. He's everybody's. Everybody loves, and he should be higher in the standings, and it's Kenta Kimura. But Kenta Kimura
is my guy.
Yeah, he's your guy. And I pick him solely on the basis of what happened to him at Lake Fork. Day one fish, 3 pounds and 4 ounces. Day 2, he comes back with 5 fish for 34 pounds and 11 ounces. What is going on there? Is that like, man, did somebody hide the energy drinks on day number 1, or what happened?
Well, you got to see a little bit of that in this tournament. I mean, like looking back to Dakota Abear, who guys had a camera on him day 1, and day 2 was just miserable, painful to watch. Man, I don't know. You know what? Tommy, when we saw Kenta out at the Classic in the steakhouse, I was going to full-blown defensive end tackle him. I was so excited. I was so elated. And for him to be in last flight, that every single angler that we've talked about in last flight this season has been hard to explain because they're some of the biggest names in the sport.
Absolutely. And I can't remember anything even approaching 3 pounds, 4 ounces to 34.11. I credit Ronnie Moore. He did remind me something, I forgot to verify it, of a Grant Goldbeck. Back in the day, you and I witnessed that happen. Remember that little pond where Shaw Grigsby won the tournament, and Grant was his closest pursuer. I think he had something close to that sort of a discrepancy one day to another. But I'll have to check on it.
Harris Chain.
That little place that was about the size of a small grocery store parking lot. Where the whole
if you ever
went
Grant Goldbeck me, I will Darren Schwenkbeck the heck out of you, Tommy Sanders.
There you go. Well, how about some Lew's? I know you came armed with some Lew's stuff today.
Tommy, I did. Get ready for this little piece of jewelry. Lew's Hyperspeed. Lew's Hyperspeed. I actually used this reel last week in New York, taping that largemouth show. Well, what is a hyperspeed, Tommy Sanders? Let me tell you.
What?
The reason it's called a hyperspeed, one of the best jig. Who doesn't love a good jig bite? The beauty of a Lew's hyperspeed, it picks up slack. It's a 9-to-1 speed reel, very smooth. somebody is going to get a Lose Hyperspeed sent to them. Not the one I used last week. I kind of beat the fire out of that reel, but a Lose Hyperspeed. And for anybody, any jig thrower this time of year, especially we're in that squirrely starting to spawn up here, finishing spawning down south. The fish become very hot. They become very fast on a bait. Lose Hyperspeed 9-to-1 speed reel. Lose Hyperspeed. Somebody's going to get that this week, Tom.
Very, very nice rod. Very nice rod to receive. Nice. Definitely want to get in on some of that. Okay. We talk about, things that puzzle us, make us scratch our head a little bit, wonder what's exactly going on. Yeah, Greg Hackney put it best. What's the deal today?
What's the
deal is Trey McKinney. Trey McKinney back.
I need a bunch of what is the deals. And here's the deal. Here's Trey McKinney is an anomaly, right? Fair to say.
Yeah.
To be 19 years old, you come to the Bassmaster Elite Series, you travel with your mom, which I probably needed more of that back when I was 19, Tommy.
All of us.
Fair to say, Bonnie should have been hanging out with me a little bit more. But this is a weird comparison that I'm gonna make here, and I've actually thought about this a lot. Okay, would you say after last year there was a lot of sketch around Trey? It wouldn't say he was the most popular angler on the Bassmaster Elite Series in 2024, going into 2025. And here's what Trey McKinney does: he catches them, and he catches them, and he catch. To have 7 out of 8 days on Lake Fork with over 30 pounds, you don't get enough respect. No. To almost win the Bassmaster Classic, to almost win Angler of the Year if it wasn't for a boneheaded mistake. And here's the comparison that I wanted to make.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
About a decade ago, we covered a young man that wasn't the most popular angler on the Elite Series, Jacob Wheeler. Right. And the very first time I interviewed him, I said, Jacob, I don't. And there was sketch around Jacob back then. There was sketch around him. And I just openly said it. I said, man, some of your competitors just they're not fans of you. He's like, yeah, I get it. I've done some things wrong, but I'm going to do some things right. Here's what Jacob Wheeler has gone on to do. Jacob Wheeler's gone on to be a multimillionaire and basically busted the teeth out of his competition since the day I asked him that question. You are seeing such a parallel with Trey McKinney. Give me your thoughts on that.
Oh, I totally agree. He is every bit as feared today as Wheeler. I mean, over here. I mean, that's a direct level comparison right there. I don't think in anyone's mind. No one wants to go up against him. They hate if they're bound for the top 10, they don't want to see him there in that top 10, because if he starts at 8th place on day 3, he'll be up in the top 3 by the end of the thing. That's just almost a given.
One of the things I heard, he doggone it, he comes from money. Tommy, we have covered a lot of anglers that come from money that were not very good at the sport of professional bass fishing.
Right.
He is very, very good at this. And I think I made this comment it was the first podcast. Trey McKinney's only roadblock is Trey McKinney, because I'll tell you a comment that he made to me. And I told you this last year. The very first time I called him, we got done talking. It was before, I want to say it was before the St. John's River tournament. If you remember what he said to me, he goes, hey, can you give me some advice of how this whole game works?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. I said, sure. I said, what kind of advice are you looking for? He said, well, I don't need any help on the water. Trust me. He goes, I got that whole thing licked. More of the business side of it. And I thought, whoa, you are not lacking any confidence, young man. Listen, look, man, I've hung around Van Dam my entire life. Van Dam went to every tournament to make baby cry.
Right.
That's what Trey McKinney is there to do and is doing right now.
Yeah, and doesn't get the respect. He's got a different way. He's in your face, much like a young Mike Iaconelli, who was not popular in some circles. When he came out here, he with the screaming and the yelling and the hollering and all of that. Trey McKinney with the kind of going seismic whenever he gets a fish close to his bait, just absolutely like someone hits him with a shock collar or something like that. And all these nonverbal things he does. But just to watch him, I mean, and several other anglers at Lake Fork, the joy of that whole tournament to watch how overwhelmed they were at these fish that they caught. I mean, it brought them, a lot of guys to tears. It was just the most joyous moment of fishing that you could ever write up.
Look, and the other thing about Trey, when I say that stat that I know Davey was hammering this in Bassmaster Live, and Mercer was to go look where Trey McKinney's from. It's eerily similar to where a Wheeler was from in Indianapolis. It's in Iaconelli in New Jersey, a Van Dam. He doesn't come from true bass fishing country. Central to southern Illinois, I don't want this to sound the wrong way. It's thought of as phenomenal whitetail hunting. It's not bass fishing 101. Right. For him to do what he's done in his career so far, what he's done on Lake Fork, where he grew up does not offer that. It does not offer that. And that's why I say he's a true anomaly. If Trey stays out of his own way, look for a lot of wreckers to fall to him.
Yeah, that where he's from geographically, also just that old school thing of if you're a rookie, if you're a freshman, if you're out here, you need to be quiet and respectful. And you need to not annoy the people, the masters who have been here for a while at school. So, he goes against that grain a little bit too.
I had that problem my first year of work with you, Tommy. I truly did. But
I don't know.
Again, to blast $450,000 before you are 21 years old, dude, you got the goods. You've got the goods for sure.
All right, it's time for a much beloved segment here on the TnZ show. It's where we sort of assess something that needs talking about. So here we go. Yes. Get ready for it. Wait for it.
Here comes the weigh-in.
Exactly. Can't get enough of that. Can't get enough of that. What are you weighing in on today, Z? You teased me a little bit about that.
I'm weighing in on your hair in that little thing right there, in that hooked up set. You look just like, Tommy, you look like a young John Stamos is what you look like. The weigh-in today, and this is hats off to Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Yeah.
And I really, really, what they have done on Lake Fork, man, and I heard you talk about this on live. It's not a big lake, yet it just sustains and produces and produces. If you look at lakes throughout, the Bassmaster Elite Series schedule, that lakes that sustain a beating, you look at a Gunnersville, you look at a Lake St. Clair, and those lakes always, no matter, it doesn't matter the conditions, they always rise up. Here's my only question, and I'm sure they know this because I talked to all the Texas Parks and Wildlife guys, especially at the Classic. I think they do. I wish a lot of the other states would look at how they manage their lakes. Here's what I don't understand. This is a slot lake that's 14 to 24 inches and produces what it produces. And I may be incorrect in saying this. I think there's another slot lake or two in Texas. Monticello, I believe, is one of them. Mm-hmm. Why do we not have more slot lakes, Tommy?
That's a mystery to me. I mean, it's the results are just,
the results
unbelievable.
Like, if you look at what Lake Fork has produced, and I get it, for folks that want to catch and keep and eat bass, I understand that, but let's not be scared to make half. Here's what my proposal is to Texas Parks and Wildlife and the rest of the country: make half of the lakes slot lakes. Make some great bass fishing lakes.
Yeah, and if you got to get something to put on the table, I mean, that's probably the greatest crappie lake in Texas too.
Yes.
By itself, right there, you don't have to catch bass in the slot limit to take home. It's just not a necessity. Why not make it like it is and look at the results? The results speak for themselves.
That was my one thing when I always email kind of some thoughts on the tournament before doing the podcast. My one thought leaving this tournament is, man, whatever the regulations are on Lake Fork, mirror it across the state of Texas and across the entire country.
Please, I'm totally with you on that. Great stuff. Oh, Strike King, we got one more Strike King item to ogle here today.
One last thing right here, brand new from Strike King Evader, one of those rising style lures. Got to see a little bit of love on that. Actually, wasn't throwing that brand. Kenta Kimura kind of introduced that to us on the Elite Series a few years ago at Lake Murray. One of those rising style baits. I'm going to put, let's just say the top of the screen is the top of the water. Basically, just a little bit of, at this time of year, a very subtle, hard lure, hard plug, very subtle, a little bit finessey. But when this time of year, you run into the fish start to feed heavily on bait fish, Strike King Evader. And not only that, the great thing about that Evader, Tommy, it has good weight, so you could reach out and touch somebody. Somebody's going to get all of this beautiful goodness here today. Strike King Evader.
I love it. Okay, let's get down to the favorite, our last order of business. I want to start this, Z, with memories of the Sabine River. You and I spent a lot of time down there. Great people. Can't wait to get down. Actually, I'm going there. We're going to do it on site there. Bassmaster
No, you're
Live.
not.
Yes, we are. We're doing Bassmaster Live there on site. And I remember it's probably 15 years ago. You and I spending a couple of days in a little piece of a bayou over on when you could fish the Louisiana side, and a couple of long-departed members of the Bassmaster Elite Series got into a huge virtual slap fight over what was basically 50 yards of that little bayou, which is just about 10 yards wide. And the whole tournament was centered. We have two. Oh, you know what I'm talking about? And that was, now we've got 200 miles that you can visit here along. Back then when Louisiana played, it was like 300, and the whole tournament was going down on a little thing the size of a swimming pool, basically.
Dean Rojas and Elton Jones Sr. just going at it. And by the way, Elton Jones Sr., full disclosure, that's what we do here on TnZ. Elton Jones, quick story on that, okay?
Yeah.
We covered it how we covered it. Dean Rojas was leading the tournament, and they were fishing 37 inches apart.
Yeah.
And we gave our take on it. And Elton Jones had permission to fish a very popular private bass lake in Texas. And I was talking to Elton one day. This is no joke. This is a true story. I said, Elton, can you give me permission? I'd love to. Is there any chance I could fish that lake? And he goes, yes, if you apologize to me for everything you did in the Sabine River tournament. Tommy, you know I'm a shallow person. I was like, heck yeah, man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're flexible. You're smart.
True story.
Oh, that's one of many memories. Great people down there, great place. And it's going to be so different from Lake Fork in terms of size of fish and everything. But there's always great stories.
Fun.
And so many fun places these guys can go, from Taylor's to the Netches to Trinity Bay, all the way over to the suburbs of Houston.
One thing that I am curious, after the last two tournaments, looking in the top 10 from Hartwell, looking at the top 10 from Fork, I'm very curious what the top 10 looks like at the Sabine River.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, very. It might paint a story for us, Tommy. Might paint a story.
All right. Well, now's the time. We lay it on the line. We roll out our picks for winning the Maxim Tire Sabine tournament.
I wanted to pick Hackney. Sure. For obvious reasons. Hackney knows where there's a top 5. in several different areas of the Sabine River. So he would be very low-hanging fruit. But I think somebody that's outspoken about that loves these tournaments, did well the last time we were there. I am going with he holds his second trophy of 2025, and I'm going with Kyle Welcher. Kyle Welcher.
Kyle Welcher. He's a river maniac, that is for sure. He's probably going to be picked by a lot of people.
Yes, I think. And the other thing I really think, I think a lot of anglers kind of go to the Sabine and are a little bit defeated before they get there of the reputation of, whoa, it's going to be a grinder. I think Kyle Welcher lives for tournaments like the Sabine.
All right. I got someone else. I got an angler who's done well in Texas already this year. Hunter Shryock is the guy I am picking.
Okay.
To do well down there. He's got a good finish here last time around. He's a guy, to me, that's good at putting together 2 or 3 locales where he can go and dig in and not get discouraged if he doesn't catch a fish for 40 minutes and can stay there and take everything out of there eventually during the course of a day. And I like Hunter. He comes from up north, tough fishing places up there, and I think Hunter might be a good pick.
I think that's a fantastic pick. I actually think the Sabine River, Bill Lowen, who used to be from Ohio, love tournaments like this. Ohio it's a tough state to fish in. That's an excellent pick.
All right. I think they're 2 good picks.
By the way,
yeah.
Our Lee Livesey pick at Lake Fork, I think it was unanimous that we both picked Lee Livesey to win. We sucked on that, Tommy.
We did. Actually, I picked someone else, but he didn't make the top.
Oh, did you? Who'd you pick, Tommy?
I picked Brandon Polinick. Yeah, that was my pick, I believe. I'll have to go back.
We didn't do good in this one.
No, he did. Yeah, he did make the cut, but that's oh no. But we'll do better this time. I don't know. I don't know whether we will or not. There it is.
Tumbleweed.
The tumbleweed.
All right. Tumbleweed. Let's go. Tommy.
That's the word of the day, tumbleweed, as we make our exit here from yet another edition of TnZ. We got the big tournament coming up on the Sabine River, and that will wrap up the Texas swing for the Bassmaster Elite Series. We'll be back after that to get ready for the final leg, the final third of the season coming up after the Sabine. So thank you so much for joining us here today. Z, I know you're going to be watching with great care. I'm going to say hi to you from all the people down there, because we sure have enjoyed hanging out with those great fans at the Sabine through the years.
Do it, my man, and great job at Lake Fork. Y'all killed it all week long.
We enjoyed it so much. All right, that's it for today. TnZ, thanks for watching.